Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
There's no fresh water, no vegetation, nothing.
And what do we want this morning? Do we want something? Come on, speak. Come on.
Before it was a franchise, before the remakes, before the memes, there was Planet of the Apes, the 1968 sci-fi classic that flipped everything upside down.
Dr. Zayas, I could swear he's answering you.
He has a definite gift for mimicry.
Talking apes, mind-bending twists, and some of the weirdest behind-the-scenes stories in movie history.
He must rule his brain. He must be a warlike creature who gives battle to everything around him.
Here are 20 facts about Planet of the Apes. That'll make you look at the original in a whole new way. 1. Nova got the part because she was dating the studio head. Linda Harrison played Nova, the silent, wide-eyed human who follows Taylor through the wasteland. But landing the role didn't come through auditions, screen tests, or agent negotiations. It came from her relationship with Richard D. Zanuck, who just happened to be the head of 20th Century Fox at the time. Harrison had no real acting experience, but she had screen presence. Zanuck believed she could pull it off and pushed hard for her inclusion in the film.
Nova, you can't go there. It's not safe, Nova.
The production gave her a few tests and coaching, and the rest is history. While some criticized the move as Hollywood favoritism, Harrison's performance ended up becoming a cult favorite, especially because Nova never speaks. She had to act entirely through body language, expression, and eye contact. No lines, no monologues, just raw presence. Years later, Harrison embraced the role and even reprised it in Beneath the Planet of the Apes, 1970. Her connection to the studio might have gotten her through the door, but it was her look, her aura, and her chemistry with Charlton Heston that turned Nova into an icon of 1960s sci-fi. Sometimes, all it takes is a stare and the right connections. 2. Taylor was supposed to die, and Nova was pregnant. The original ending of Planet of the Apes was way darker than what made it to theaters. In early drafts, Taylor, Charlton Heston's character, was supposed to die. Not only that, but Nova was revealed to be pregnant with his child. The idea was to show a spark of hope for humanity through their unborn child. Even as the current generation was doomed, the plan: Taylor would die in the ruins of Earth, and Nova would carry his legacy forward, a symbolic rebirth of mankind. They even went as far as shooting scenes that hinted at Nova's pregnancy. Footage shows her experiencing nausea and protective gestures over her stomach. But when producers saw the cut, they feared the layered twist would confuse audiences and pull focus from the Statue of Liberty shocker, so the entire pregnancy arc was scrapped, and Taylor's death was avoided. Instead, he got one of cinema's most iconic endings, falling to his knees in the sand, howling in disbelief. But somewhere out there, there's an alternate version where Earth's last man dies, and the future rests with a silent, pregnant woman and her unborn, half-human, half-wild child baby. 3. That iconic ending. Rod Serling wrote it. The twist ending of Planet of the Apes, where Charlton Heston stumbles upon the ruined Statue of Liberty and realizes he's been on Earth all along, didn't come from the original novel. It came from Rod Serling, the mastermind behind The Twilight Zone. In Pierre Boulle's original 1963 novel, the story takes place on a completely different planet. The ending is more abstract, involving a space-time loop and a shocking twist about a civilized ape future. But when Serling adapted the book into a screenplay, he dropped a bombshell instead. Literally. He gave us that now legendary moment, Taylor falling to his knees screaming, "You maniacs! You blew it up!" The studio loved the gut punch of irony. It turned a cerebral sci-fi story into a cultural gut check about war, humanity, and nuclear destruction. Serling's fingerprints are all over it. The bleak morality, the poetic justice, the last-minute twist that leaves your jaw on the floor. Even people who haven't seen the movie know the ending. It's been parodied, referenced, and quoted endlessly. From The Simpsons to Spaceballs. Without Serling, we'd have no beachside apocalypse, no shattered liberty, and no scream that echoes across film history. 4. The ape makeup was so intense, actors couldn't eat solid food. The revolutionary prosthetics used in Planet of the Apes were groundbreaking, but also brutal. Legendary makeup artist John Chambers designed flexible latex masks that allowed actors to speak and emote like never before, but wearing them for hours on end was another story entirely. The makeup process could take up to 4 hours each morning, and once applied, it stayed on all day. The latex appliances covered most of the actors' faces, making chewing difficult and drinking nearly impossible. Solid food was off the table, literally. Cast members often lived on soft foods, straws, and milkshakes between takes. Maurice Evans, who played Dr. Zaius, reportedly grew so frustrated that he once ripped his mask off mid-day and stormed off the set. Others developed headaches and skin irritation from the constant glue and pressure, but the payoff was huge. The apes looked expressive and believable, even by today's standards. Chambers later won an honorary Oscar for the work, making all those milkshake lunches worth it. Behind the masks were actors starving for lunch, but fully committed to the illusion. 5. Charlton Heston filmed with the flu and looked better because of it. When Charlton Heston shot some of his most intense scenes as Taylor, he was battling a nasty case of the flu. We're talking fever, congestion, chills, the whole package. But instead of delaying production, Heston powered through, refusing to stop filming. Oddly enough, the timing worked in the movie's favor. Taylor is supposed to be exhausted, dehydrated, and completely wrecked after crash landing on an alien world and wandering through the desert. And thanks to the flu, Heston didn't have to fake any of it. His raspy voice, sunken eyes, and sluggish movements weren't acting. They were real. The director even leaned into it, making sure to shoot close-ups that captured Heston's weathered look. Later, Heston joked that getting sick might have been the best thing for his performance.
Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
It wasn't method acting, it was survival, and it helped sell the desperation of a man who just realized he's very, very far from home. 6. The apes had to eat lunch in separate groups. During production, things got weird off-camera too, especially at lunch. With dozens of actors in full ape prosthetics, the cast naturally started splitting up during meal breaks. And not by accident. The performers playing chimps would sit together. The gorillas had their own tables. Orangutans? Same thing. No one told them to do it. It just happened. Director Franklin J. Schaffner and others noticed the trend early in the shoot. Without realizing it, the actors had started behaving like their characters, forming subconscious social tribes based on species. The chimps were curious and chatty. The gorillas stuck to themselves, usually in silence. The orangutans, playing the intellectuals, talked shop. Some thought it was funny, others found it unsettling, but it was a bizarre example of how immersive the makeup and roles had become. By week 2, it looked like a real-life ape society was developing behind the scenes, one catered by studio lunch trucks and powered by coffee and mashed potatoes. It wasn't planned, it wasn't rehearsed, but the cast lived the roles, right down to where they sat at lunch. 7. Charlton Heston's loincloth caused big studio headaches. When you think of Planet of the Apes, one of the most iconic visuals is Charlton Heston running around half-naked in a torn-up space loincloth. But behind the scenes, that wardrobe choice caused some serious stress at 20th Century Fox. Executives were worried about how much skin Heston was showing, especially for international markets. In certain countries, showing too much male thigh or chest was a no-go. So the costume department had to carefully design and redesign the loincloth to cover just enough, while still selling the idea that Taylor had been stripped of everything. In some promotional photos, they even airbrushed extra fabric onto Heston's hips to make the outfit look more conservative. Meanwhile, on set, the actor joked about needing more dignity and less draft. Ironically, that skimpy outfit became part of the film's legacy. One man nearly naked, raging against a world gone backwards. 8. Real chimps were terrified of the actors and makeup. To test how realistic the ape prosthetics looked, the production team decided to bring in the real thing, a live chimpanzee. But the moment the chimp saw the costumed actors, it completely freaked out. Despite being used to humans, the chimp couldn't process what it was seeing. The latex masks, the fake fur, the strange movements. It triggered full-blown panic. The handlers had to remove it almost immediately. Makeup artist John Chambers took it as the ultimate compliment. If a real chimp couldn't tell the difference, they were clearly doing something right. That one moment proved the power of the prosthetics. They didn't just fool cameras, they fooled nature. After that, the team ditched the idea of using real animals on set. No more comparisons needed. The fake apes had passed the wildest realism test imaginable and scared the competition right off set. 9. That iconic twist ending almost didn't happen. The Statue of Liberty reveal at the end of Planet of the Apes is legendary, but it nearly didn't exist. In the original script drafts, the story ended with Taylor simply riding off into the distance. It was Rod Serling, creator of The Twilight Zone, who introduced the twist ending. He rewrote the finale to include the crumbled statue, delivering that unforgettable gut punch. Studio executives were skeptical. They thought the idea was too bleak, too political, or just plain strange. But once they saw the concept art, they were hooked. That one last shot transformed the film from sci-fi adventure to cultural landmark. 10. The ape suits were so hot, actors lost weight during filming. Filming Planet of the Apes wasn't just physically demanding, it was a full-on sweat marathon.
There's no fresh water, no vegetation, nothing.
The California heat combined with thick latex prosthetics and furry bodysuits made every day on set a brutal experience. Actors spent hours under hot studio lights, sealed into their costumes like portable saunas. Hydration was a constant issue, and many lost noticeable weight over the course of the shoot. Some even fainted between takes from overheating. Roddy McDowall recalled his undershirt being drenched within minutes, and makeup artists kept buckets of towels and fans nearby just to keep people conscious. The crew even started rotating actors in and out of the ape suits just to keep them from dropping. By the end of production, more than a few performers had unintentionally gone on the ape diet. Forget method acting. This was survival in fur and rubber. 11. The famous "damn dirty ape" line wasn't scripted. One of the most quoted lines from Planet of the Apes, "Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape," wasn't in the original script.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape.
Charlton Heston improvised it during a take, and the crew instantly knew they had gold. The raw delivery, the fury in his voice, it captured everything Taylor felt in that moment. Director Franklin J. Schaffner kept it in, and it became one of the most iconic lines in sci-fi history. What makes it even more wild? That's the first time Taylor speaks in front of the apes. After staying silent for much of the film, he breaks out with that explosive line, and it instantly became legend. No rewrites, no polish, just pure Heston rage. 12. Maurice Evans stayed in character, even off camera. Maurice Evans, who played the orangutan Dr. Zaius, took his role seriously, maybe a little too seriously. While other actors would crack jokes or break character between takes, Evans often stayed locked into his performance. Even during lunch breaks, he kept the stoic posture and mannerisms of Zaius, speaking in the same slow, commanding tone. Some cast members joked that he wasn't acting. He was Zaius. Crew members would try to chat with him casually, only to be met with deep philosophical responses about mankind's dangerous nature. Evans came from a classical theater background, and that discipline showed. He treated the role like Shakespeare, even if he was buried in orange fur and glued-on eyebrows. The result? Zaius felt chillingly real. 13. Orson Wells was offered the role of Dr. Zaius, and turned it down. Before Maurice Evans landed the role of Dr. Zaius, the studio had their sights set on a Hollywood giant, Orson Wells. The legendary director and star of Citizen Kane was offered the part, but he wasn't having it. Wells reportedly turned it down flat. He didn't want to act through a rubber mask. Makeup-heavy roles weren't his style, and he thought the concept was beneath him. The rejection turned out to be a blessing. Maurice Evans brought a theatrical weight to Zaius that balanced the film's over-the-top ape visuals with a serious, chilling presence. But still, just imagine that voice behind the orangutan's cold monologues. It would have been a totally different kind of menace. 14. It was one of the first G-rated movies to feature nudity. Planet of the Apes somehow slipped nudity past the censors and still walked away with a G rating. During a brief moment when Taylor and the other astronauts are being hosed down and processed by ape captors, there's visible nudity on screen. No strategic camera angles, no shadows, just there. By today's standards, that would land the film at least a PG-13, but in 1968, The MPAA was just getting started, and the boundaries were blurrier. The movie became one of the very first G-rated films to include full nudity, second only to The Bible, 1966. No one really made a fuss back then. Maybe they were too distracted by the talking apes, or maybe the censors blinked. 15. Fox bought the rights before the book was even published. Before Planet of the Apes was a sci-fi phenomenon, it was just a strange little French novel, untranslated, unpublished in English, and not yet a bestseller. But producer Arthur P. Jacobs saw potential. He secured the rights to Pierre Boulle's La Planète des Singes in 1963, years before the book officially hit U.S. shelves. Jacobs couldn't even read it himself. He needed a translator to walk him through the plot. Fox execs were hesitant at first, worried that a talking monkey movie would flop. But Jacobs pushed hard, building buzz and pitching it as an allegory with serious social bite. Turns out, betting on an unread book about ape overlords was the best career move he ever made. 16. The opening crash scene was shot at Lake Powell and nearly killed the crew. The eerie desert sequences after the astronauts crash land? That's not a soundstage. It's Lake Powell on the Arizona-Utah border. The cast and crew hauled cameras, costumes, and gear through brutal heat and rocky terrain just to capture those wide, otherworldly shots. But it wasn't just uncomfortable, it got dangerous. Several crew members suffered heat exhaustion, and equipment kept failing in the scorching sun. At one point, a boat carrying expensive gear nearly capsized. Charlton Heston even said he started hallucinating during takes from dehydration. But director Franklin J. Schaffner wanted that realism, and he got it. Those lonely canyon walls and alien vistas, all real. And they gave the movie a level of authenticity no studio could fake. 17. The German version changed the film's legendary twist. Everyone remembers that ending. Taylor on the beach, fists clenched, screaming, "You maniacs! You blew it up!" But if you watched the German dub, you saw something different. Instead of the emotional, accusatory meltdown from Charlton Heston, the German voiceover softened the moment. The dubbed line was reworded, changing both tone and meaning. Something closer to, "Oh my God, what have they done?" The change stripped the scene of its raw anger, making Taylor seem more reflective than outraged. It might have helped the movie pass stricter European censorship guidelines, or maybe the translators just didn't think a screaming finale would land the same. Either way, German audiences didn't quite get the same emotional gut punch. 18. There wasn't even a makeup Oscar category yet. Despite Planet of the Apes breaking ground with its revolutionary prosthetics, it didn't win an Oscar for makeup, because the category didn't exist yet. John Chambers' jaw-dropping ape designs wowed Hollywood and changed the industry, but the Academy had no official recognition for makeup artistry in 1968. To acknowledge the achievement, Chambers was given an honorary award instead, basically a one-off trophy saying, "Yeah, this was impressive." It wasn't until 1981 that the Oscars finally introduced a Best Makeup category. By then, Planet of the Apes had already changed the game, and never got the full credit it deserved. 19. It took 60 makeup artists to transform 200 actors daily. Turning humans into believable apes wasn't a small job. It was a full-blown operation. Every single day during production, nearly 200 actors had to be transformed into orangutans, chimps, and gorillas. To pull it off, the studio hired 60 makeup artists working in shifts, applying layers of prosthetics, hair, and intricate detailing. The process took at least 3 hours per actor, and background performers had to sit just as long as leads. The makeup trailers ran like a military operation, timed, scheduled, and chaotic. The results were revolutionary. For the first time in film, prosthetics weren't stiff masks. They were expressive, lifelike, and convincing. You could read emotion in an ape's face. It was exhausting, but groundbreaking. 20. It's preserved in the US National Film Registry. In 2001, Planet of the Apes was officially added to the US National Film Registry, joining a list of movies deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. That means it's more than just a sci-fi flick. It's considered a vital piece of American cinema, right up there with classics like Citizen Kane and The Godfather. Its social commentary, groundbreaking makeup, and unforgettable twist ending earned it a permanent spot in film history. Today, it's archived by the Library of Congress, preserved for future generations, proof that a movie with talking apes can still leave a serious legacy. And there you have it, 20 weird, wild, and surprisingly deep facts about Planet of the Apes, 1968. From secret cameos to Oscar snubs, it's clear this film was more than just monkey business.